film-related interviews, reviews, and content, please like and subscribe to Pooja Talwar. You can also follow me on Twitter and on Instagram.
Asim, lovely chatting with you. As I said, I am a fan of your work, both cake as well as churels. I just saw the sneak peek of Barzakh. Absolutely love it. Love the color palette. Love, the play of emotions. How did Barzakh come about? I know because it also is dealing with themes you've dealt before, whether it is intergenerational trauma, grief that we have seen in cake and churels as well. But it also deals with a lot more that you've not explored before.
Yeah, it's cake on acid.
I love it.
So yeah, I mean, it was I had done churels, which was it was like a life-changing experience for me. So we were coming out of the high of churels, and Shilja and I had a great relationship. We wanted to do something different, and we were like, oh, churels was really big and ensemble, and it was time to do something small and intimate. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back to my roots and do family and do dysfunction and trauma and all of that stuff that I really kind of wanted to delve with. It was also on a personal space. I had written cake when I was dealing with sort of the aging of my father and my mother, and it was just I was in and out of hospitals when I was writing cake, and so it was a very personal space. And then during churels, my father passed away, and so after churels, it had just been such a crazy experience and then pandemic happened that I don't think I had processed his passing. And I think Barzakh was kind of my therapy for myself as well, where I was coming to terms with his passing and really sort of dealing with the same themes, but in a more existential, in a more metaphysical level, and sort of expanding the canvas of that and expanding the genre of that. So where in cake, we were dealing with family drama. There is a family drama here, but the world is much bigger. It's more epic in terms of magical realism and what is possible and not possible in this world. So I think that was the genesis of it. I think when Shilja got the synopsis expecting some intimate story, and then she found out like there's a dead bride there, she was like, oh, this is going somewhere else. But luckily, she's always been a supporter of my work, and she's always had this immense belief in my work. And I think that is the kind of producer one needs. So I think with her help, with Zindagi behind me, I was really able to sort of tell a story that and I don't say this in like sort of some kind of an immodest way or something, but I think there is very little content that is so off kilter and so away from the norm of what is being churned out by other streamers that it is, it's really exciting for something to be greenlit, something like this to be greenlit and to be coming to the audiences.
This is exactly what I wanted to ask you as we wait for Shailaja's connection. Was magic realism is not explored in the stories in India and in Pakistan, I would say subcontinent. We see a lot of that in China and Korea and Japan, but not here so. So the fact that magic realism, that you've explored that, and also this dead bride reminds me of Marquez, because those are the kind of stories we grew up reading. So it's an interesting blend कि हमारे यहाँ की कहानी है, but it also encapsulates these universal stories we've all heard about and the other.
Exactly. I think Marquez was a big thing in our discussions. Like I hadn't actually, I mean, I'm a huge Marquez fan, but I wasn't actively thinking about Marquez when I was writing it. But that's the first thought that came to Shilja's mind when she read the synopsis. She was like, oh my God, are we doing Marquez? And then, it stuck, and I was really excited about that. And so, yeah, I think we have explored bigness in South Asia in many different ways. Like our emotions are big, our song and dance numbers are big, but we've never explored, or then we do superheroes, or we've attempted to do superheroes now, but we've never explored bigness of world building. And I think that is something that Latin American literature does really well. I mean, literature all around does really well, but film and television so much hasn't. And I think for me, it was sort of that expansion of the canvas, but in a South Asian element, and South Asian aesthetic was kind of really exciting for me.
When you said Latin American, I was reminded of like Water for Chocolate. Cake had a bit of thoda. I was like, why? When I read like Water for Chocolate, it was, why is nobody doing something on that? And there is Shailaja. What is this knack for picking up stories? I'll be very honest with you. I grew up, I'm the generation, Dhoop Kinare and Tanaiya generation, because, But over the years, we saw how, we loved the Pakistani shows, but they were all romance, it was family ties. But with the kind of stories you have greenlit, it's dysfunctional family. As you said, this is cake on steroids. Come on, bring it on. सब अपने जज्बात ऊपर लेकर आओ. So how do you I would say, let's say you have a nose for news. How do you have this nose for picking up the story?
Well, hi everybody, and sorry for coming in late. Actually, ऐसा कुछ nose है नहीं, to be very honest. Because आप अक्सर confused रहते हो कि audience research, what do you want to do vis-a-vis audience research? What do you want to do vis-a-vis your own, educational background or your own personal likes and dislikes, etc. So what I do normally is that there's a slate and I sort of do how should I say, 80-20, so I do 80 for business and 20 for myself. So I guess Asim falls into the 20 for myself. And then you hope and pray that more and more audiences also come and watch it. Because one keeps hearing, especially from Gen Z, that kuch naya nahi hai, etc., etc. Or you hear things like, leave your brains behind and come. And my thing is, no, don't leave your brains behind and come, bring your brains with you. So, somewhere I think that where at least Gen Z and the millennial audiences are concerned, there's a large amount of it in the urban centers. And I think they are looking, and especially with OTT coming in, being exposed to shows from around the globe, literature padha ho, na padha ho, that's a separate matter. Lekin they've been exposed to content from all over the world, and I think and I pray that it's sort of opened up more people to experiment with something other than just romance. I mean, romance is great, but something other than that also. So ye experiment is something that, one tries to do. And to be a part of the industry and to secure your own job, you try and do an 80-20 normally.
I totally get that, but I'm so happy, Asim, and the collaboration between the two of you, because Cake was something they hadn't seen before. Churair also was one of the first, because it spoke about women, it spoke about issues that we tend to brush under the carpet. But the way content like South Korean has just gone global, because we have stories.
Yes.
हम लोग क्यों पड़ जाते हैं एक बॉक्स में जिससे हम नहीं निकलना चाहते हैं? I mean, we have enough. The subcontinent has stories to just take over the world.
उसका एक रीजन भी है जो मुझे लगता है, पता है, हम कहते हैं ना, इट्स अ बिजनेस ऑफ क्रिएटिविटी, है ना? तो when you say it's a business of creativity, or if you say it's a creative business, which do you put first? When you say business of creativity, then it's looked at only from the business angle. When you say it's a creative business, then you look at it from the creative angle and then sort of aspire towards the business part of it also. But I think what we do, especially in the sort of Northwest Hindustani industry, Bollywood जिसको कहते हैं या Hindi industry कह लें, उसमें experimentation से थोड़ा I think परहेज रहता है. The reason is also because it's very corporatized, it's very corporatized. Like if you see Malayalam cinema, we all keep saying Malayalam cinema is so good, so good, so good, because they're constantly experimenting. I think there is less corporatization there as compared to the Hindi industry, where there is much more corporatization. And that's why we see the result of that, whether it's in cinema, whether it's in television, whether it's in OTT, we see that ki just make more of the same, and
absolutely. And Asim, I want to ask you, Sanam. I adore Sanam. I actually feel she's one actor. वो किसी भी उसको ढाल सकते हो आप. She also has that face. Like you see her in Zindagi Gulzar Hai. You see her in the movies that she has done, the shows she's done. Then you see her in a Cake and a Churair, and now I'm seeing her here. She also seems to be your favorite. What draws you to Sanam Saeed?
I think Sanam is one of the most versatile actors that we have, and I think she is she really gives it her all, and she is involved and she has opinions. I think it's very important to have an opinionated actor. It's very important for someone who's going to fight with you and who's going to say, actually, no, you might have written it, but now I'm embodying it and I don't understand this. And why did you write this? Because it just makes the end result better. And that's all that we are all after. Like, I'm not precious about my script. I'm not precious about my direction. The end of the day, it's the entire episode and the entire show that goes out to the audience. And I think Sanam and few other actors, they're very, very collaborative in that sense. They're very involved in terms of, they give me time during prep. They're very involved in rehearsals. They're very, we have conversations about characters. We watch films together. So there's a very healthy relationship that we have. I also like going back to the versatility point that her role in Barzakh is unlike any other role that she has done. It's a very, very complicated role without giving too much away, because the characterization of that character is such. And really she put all her effort into understanding that and kind of, realizing that. So I think it's just a director is blessed when you find that match in an actor. And then I'm never one to shy away from repeating, because the characters are also different.
Absolutely. No, what I like about Sanam also is her emotions. She lets out emotion, but there's also a bit that is masked. And makes the viewer think, कि ये क्या सोच रही है? I mean, I think that's the reason that I've been a fan of her work. I mean, I've seen her entire filmography, but you also is a coup. You bring the two subcontinents' favorite jodi, as they say, Fawad and Sanam. So what was it like working with Fawad? Because he's also tried to break away from that romantic boy image and done shows like Behad, then, now there's Barzakh. So what was that like working with him and getting this jodi together?
It was great. I mean, I think it was unexpected. It was an ensemble piece that we were dealing with. And I think we have our own preconceived notions about what kind of work actors are looking for and what might appeal to them. So, just because, he had worked in India and this and that, and we thought, maybe he's just looking for and also he was holding back. It wasn't like he just came to the industry back to Pakistan and did like a whole bunch of shows or films. He was holding back. So it felt like maybe he was waiting for the right opportunity. It felt like he was looking for a hero-led film or a television series. And I think once I spoke to him, like all of that kind of fell apart, because he's an actor, and all he really wanted was a good role. And he liked the story. He read the scripts. He said, I want to be a part of it, even if it's an ensemble. And I did. In our first rehearsal session, I was like, oh, I told him this, like I was a bit apprehensive. I thought you weren't going to do it. He was like, have you seen the type of, I did Kapoor and Sons. It was an ensemble. He was like, I like stories. I like the people that I work with. That's all I'm gearing for. So it was just again, similar kind of relationship that I had with Sanam, where, he had opinions and he had feedback and he was involved and he was like, and, no start tantrums. Like, you hear of big stars and I'm like, oh my God, are they going to disappear when it's the other person's shot? Is my other actors going to like have to talk to a wall or something? It was none of that. Like, it was freezing cold, it was freezing cold, and they just stick around. They'd always be there for each other. And I think that's that real camaraderie between actors. I think that's what makes the project flourish in the end.
Absolutely. And Shailesh, I want to ask about your collaboration. Since we're talking about his collaborations with this actor, I want to ask about your collaboration with Asim. I mean, somewhere you have that trust also, and you'll get something different. I mean, I'm not saying bias, kabhi wo dimag mein hota hai, ye mera go-to person hai. So how does it work between you and us?
She hates complimenting me on my face. So I might have to skip the video.
Oh, she's a tough producer to work with, is it?
No, I'm not. I'm very sweet, Asim, you have to say that. But actually, I think Asim has a very, for me, Asim has a very interesting mix of being an artist yet being disciplined. You know what I mean? मतलब normally होता है ना, artists अपने वो चले जाते हैं, कि मैं अभी, but he's extremely disciplined and he's extremely like on time, and I really like that, because I get very frazzled when things don't happen on time, or people are not there. I mean, that is one very important thing for me. But more than that, I think there are things that we probably share, like love for literature, the same kind of, we end up liking the same kind of films, though he likes some other kinds as well, and I like some other kinds as well. But there is a common ground that we share. Also, I feel कि whenever we discuss something, वो उससे कुछ ज्यादा ही मिलता है मुझे, मतलब उससे कम नहीं मिलता, and so that is like a real blessing. There is a deep, deep, deep honesty in Asim, which is really the bottom line for me. There's a deep honesty in terms of whatever he's writing or creating, which I feel has become a very rare thing in the industry. I mean, honestly, लोग काम कर लेते कि हाँ चलो करके निकल जाते, बस हो गया type of a thing, yeah, okay, if that person likes it, then that's enough, I don't have to work harder. But I think Asim has that deep honesty towards whatever he's doing, and which is like a real cherry on the cake, so to say. बस हो गया और नहीं.
और नहीं बोलूंगी
Yeah,
मैं.
we are looking forward to that. But Asim, I actually want to ask you, Cake also was the entry to Pakistan's entry to the Oscars. We had Joyland also. I've spoken to these actors who are now like, we are glad that the world is becoming inclusive and, the industries are becoming diverse. But some of these actors are finally also getting a platform where Sarvat said that sometimes he used to get trolled. I mean, Chudais, they said we were trolled for playing the characters we were. Do you think now you're feeling that these actors are getting liberated also and, trying to experiment and push the boundaries and the envelope, and where do you see this going? Because on the global stage, because वो caricature हो जाते हैं हमेशा subcontinent वाले.
Gee. No, I think, look, there's surely more diverse content being made globally. I think, the amount of stuff that I am doing in the UK, the amount of stuff that I am being specifically found out or looked for that Asim can do this or something. It's a huge, and of course, there's been a concerted effort on all quarters with diversity officers, with quotas, etc. So I think on a global scale, there is, well, firstly, that there need to be more brown faces in content coming out of the West, and also that they need to be more inclusive of these countries that have sort of, Iran was a special baby, and there were, there are few other countries that were like, okay, idhar ka content is what our developing world content is going to look like, and we're going to shun away from this. I think there is definitely, and even like not just for, I'm saying, art house stuff, but even like successive films like Bahubali and stuff. There's a real understanding that good content is not just content that mirrors the content in the West, or it mirrors the content of Iran, or it mirrors your idea of very slow cinema or very slow television. That it comes in all different shapes and sizes, and I think there is a real excitement about that. And I think there is definitely, look, actors, directors, we are creative people. We are desperate to look for opportunities anywhere where we get to be free and get to tell stories our way and get to play characters or write characters, direct characters that haven't been done in that way before. And I think for all of these actors, I think that is one of the reasons. I don't think that I'm like some, incredible director in that sense, but it's more about the freedom that they get with me about working on my projects that television doesn't really allow them, because of the speed the television moves at, because of the structure, the infrastructure of that place. It's very fast, and our job is such that it is all about emotions, and it's all about feeling and catharsis. So there has to be time given and nurture, which is really important, which is not there in some of the mainstream elements. So I think that they're definitely liberated. I think trolling to hogi, wo to hoti hai, because we are such a mixed, it's such a mixed bag of emotions and feelings that people have. They get attached to actors, then they expect them to be a certain way. When they do different roles, they can't accept it. I think that is a little bit to do with education as well. And I think, once literacy rates go higher in our countries, maybe that will change at some point.
आपको एक करना चाहिए show on parasocial relationships. I actually feel, well, it's a very interesting study because we get that when we were also, but आजकल because of social media, the fandom is very different from what it was. जाते जाते एक पूछना चाहूंगी, since Shailaja is the conduit, she has brought the two countries and the content together. Any Indian actor that you would really are looking forward to work with?
I know.
Who? Tell me.
I know.
Tell me.
Deepika Padukone.
Rekha, I want to bring her out of retirement.
Chalo,
I would love
Rekha
to
and
work with
Deepika
her.
Padukone, Shailaja, you'll really have a winner on your hand. We are looking forward to that. All the very best for Barzakh.
Thank you,
And
Pooja.
once again, Asim, thank you so much because I absolutely love your content. And thank you, Shailaja.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Thank you for always being so supportive. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
I always am. Thank you so much. All the very best. Have a good weekend. Bye.
You too.
If you've liked this interview, please like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram.